From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Millicent Walker.
Tonight, tributes pour in for elder statesman and former head of the interim national government, Chief Ernest Shonekan, who passed on earlier today. Federal government orders national flag to fly at half-mast. And later we'll bring you the life and times of a boardroom strategist who rose to become chairman of the United African Company. And more aspirants throw in their hats for 2023 presidency from the southeast. Governor David Mahi and Senator Ojuzo Kalu join the race on the platform of the APC. And British Prime Minister Boris Johnson under fire for hosting garden party at official residence during 2020 COVID lockdown. Plus international news from our studio in London.
On business news tonight, World Bank projects 2.5% growth for Nigeria's economy this year on higher oil prices and gradual easing of OPEC output.
On sports news tonight, Nigeria's Super Eagles kickstart their AFCON campaign with victory against seven-time champions Egypt in Garoua.
And from Abuja, a new window of business opportunity beckons for Nigerians in diaspora as the president endorses the establishment of the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Trust Fund to support direct investments in the country.
The former head of the interim national government, Chief Ernest Shonekan, has died at the age of 85. He was reported to have died at a private hospital in Lagos in the early hours of today. Chief Shonekan was a boardroom guru before his foray into the political scene when he was selected to head the interim national government that succeeded the Babangida administration on August the 26th, 1993. In this report, we capture the life and times of the man, Chief Ernest Shonekan.
Ernest Adegunle Shonekan was born on the 9th of May 1936 in Lagos to an Abeokuta-born civil servant and was one of the 6 children in the family. The young Ernest Shonekan received his early education in Lagos, where he attended CMS Grammar School and Igbobi College. He also received a law degree from the University of London in 1962, was called to bar and later attended the Harvard Business School. As a lawyer and businessman, Ernest Shonekan joined the United Africa Company in 1964, rising to become the company's chairman and chief executive in 1980. A boardroom strategist, Chief Shonekan went on to found the Nigeria Economic Summit Group in 1994. On the home front, he was installed the Abbess of Egbaland in his home state, Ogun, in 1981. Having spent all his working career in the private sector, his sojourn into politics could best be described as a date with destiny. He was appointed to head the Transitional Council and Interim Government on January the 2nd, 1993 by General Ibrahim Babangida. The Transitional Council was designed to be the final phase leading to a scheduled handover to a democratically elected leader of the Third Nigerian Republic. Unable to reining the political crisis that followed the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, then military president General Ibrahim Babangida handed over to Chief Ernest Shonekan on the 26th of August 1993, who then assumed the title head of the interim national government. That government was subsequently declared illegal by Lagos High Court in November 1993. He subsequently resigned on the 17th of November and was succeeded by General Sani Abacha. Although his stay at the very top of government was very brief, he did leave his mark within that time. Some of his actions as head of government include the release of political prisoners detained by his predecessor, Ibrahim Babangida, as well as the introduction of a bill to repeal 3 major draconian decrees of the military government. Since he left office, he retreated mostly from public life, although he was often cited at meetings of the National Council of State. Chief Ernest Shonekan is survived by his wife, Margaret, 4 children, and many grandchildren.
And Chief Shonekan's passing has thrown the nation into mourning, and the president has been reacting to the death of the man he describes as a great statesman. President Muhammadu Buhari, in a statement today, extends his condolences to Chief Shonekan's wife and family, as well as the government and the people of Ogun State. According to the president, as an internationally respected statesman, Chief Shonekan left his flourishing business career to become the head of government at a time the country needed someone of his pedigree to save the ship of state from sinking. Part of the statement reads, Shonekan demonstrated to all that the love for country and commitment to her development, peace and unity transcends the trappings of office and the transient nature of political power. Meanwhile, the president has directed that the national flag be flown at half-mast effective tomorrow, Wednesday the 12th to Friday the 14th, as a mark of respect for the former head of state. And more tributes continue to pour in for the late elder statesman, and joining those sending in condolence messages is the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, who describes Chief Shonekan's death as a loss of a beloved man after God's heart, as well as former military president Ibrahim Babangida. Messages have also come from the President of Senate, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Ogun and Rivers State governors, among others.
It is still a quiet atmosphere here at the Lagos home of the former head of interim national government, Chief Ernest Shonekan, who died in a Lagos hospital. Same can be said of his family house in Abeokuta, Ogun State. Speaking to us behind the camera, residents of this premises says the family are yet to take the news of his death in and may not be able to attend to visitors at this time. Beyond dislocation and from all fronts, encomiums and heartfelt condolences have been pouring in. From his location on an international assignment, Nigeria's former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, has sent a condolence letter to Mrs. Margaret Shonekan on the death of her husband. Chief Obasanjo describes late Chief Shonekan as a man of sustained strong will to succeed, coming from humble background, rising, stepping and peaking at the topmost plumb in corporate management and the very top of giant United Africa Company UAC ladder. On his part, Nigeria former military president General Ibrahim Babangida says he received the news of Chief Shonekan's death with helpless awe. Speaking on his times, General Babangida gave reasons the late patriot became the choice for the leadership of the interim national government, and in his words, Chief Shonekan was the architect of our principle of free market economy, which helped to open up the system for a robust participation by the private sector. The liberalization of the economy, the investment and boost in the agricultural sector and budget management approach were part of his brainchild. He goes on to say, I recollect very vividly how he used to give us tutorials on budget, planning and management of national resources each time he was invited to our session, of quote. Also joining his voices to pay a well-deserved respect to the late statesman is the Senate President Ahmed Lawan. In a statement signed by his media advisor, Senator Lawan describes Chief Shonekan as a lawyer, business captain, boardroom guru and statesman who will be most remembered for heeding the nation's call to duty at a very turbulent period in the history of Nigeria. From the National Assembly leadership, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, says the death of the former head of interim national government is a painful loss, adding that his death has created a vacuum among the League of Elder Statesmen in the country. From the South-South region of the country comes this message from Governor Nyesom Wike, who has offered his condolences on behalf of the people and government of Rivers State. Governor Wike says, Nigeria has lost an elder statesman whose wisdom, foresight and steadfast commitment to the country will always be remembered. Chief Shonekan hails from Ogun State. He was a member of the Egba Traditional Council. Just as Governor Dapo Abiodun, the Ogun State governor, remembers him as the British-trained lawyer, industrialist and traditional chief whose death is a colossal loss to Nigeria in general and Ogun State in particular. Joining paramount leaders in Abeokuta, Ogun State is Chief Alani Bankole, a member of the Traditional Council.
He was very intelligent, hardworking, and also very lucky. Chief Shonekan, to the best of my knowledge, is the only Nigerian head of state that was not a politician, was not a soldier, and he did not contest, and yet, and he didn't shoot a gun, and yet he became head of state in Nigeria.
Chief Shonekan was a first-class administrator whose imprint in the business and political firmament have been described variously. He died in a Lagos hospital at the early hours of Tuesday, January the 11th, 2022. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
And to other stories, politics. Barely 24 hours after former governor of Lagos State, Chief Bola Tinubu, declared his ambition to contest for the presidential ticket of the All Progressives Congress, Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State has also made known his intention to vie for the same ticket. Following in the footsteps of Chief Tinubu, Governor Umahi today met with the president in his office to notify him of his ambition. Governor Umahi, who stated that the president asked him to seek the support of the people, said his presidency will replicate progressive efforts in Ebonyi State. He also touched on the security situation in the southeast, calling for a political solution to the issue regarding IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu.
It's been only 24 hours since the former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, announced his presidential ambition at the State House, apparently throwing open the doors for the others, as Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State also meets with the president to intimate him of his ambition. After that meeting in the president's office, the governor's confidence is palpable.
I told Mr. President that without prejudice to whatever will be the decision of the party which we shall all abide by, that if the party throws the ticket open or the zone to southern part of Nigeria, that I believe that with what I put in place in the past 6 years plus, that I will be running for presidency on the platform of APC. So I told him, and of course, he believes that whoever that wants to run for president of this country must have to consult widely and go to all the leaders, and we must do everything to remove ethnicity and our religion in our polity so that this country can grow.
By the same token, the governor, who is equally chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum, is also canvassing for a political solution to the insecurity challenge in the Southeast.
I support a political solution to our insecurity problems in the Southeast. And of course, I mentioned it to Mr. President. And so I believe strongly that Southeast, that proposing for political solutions should be able to engage the federal government. After all, there's always what is called out of court settlement. But it's for, our people and, our brother Kanu to be willing, for us to truly engage so that we can find true peace in our region. Because the activities there, have destroyed a lot of the economy of Southeast.
He's also advising the Igbo socio-cultural group Ohaneze Ndigbo against any partisanship.
Ohaneze leadership should not play politics. Yes, they can speak for the interest of, Southeast. They can speak for, fair treatment to Southeast as a people. But as a matter of, equity, justice, and fairness, and leaving a level playing field for all the political parties and the aspirants, they should not dabble into politics or whom to support, whom not to support.
Expectedly, early declarations by the former governor of Lagos State and now the governor of Ebonyi State has powered up a chain of reactions and possibly more declarations in the coming days. Perhaps what is most critical at this time is that the National Convention date is clarified by the president and is still strongly speculated to hold in February. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And in part two, after the break, talking about more declarations, another Southeast candidate vies for the presidential race, plus one-story church building collapses in Opanam in Delta State. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder about top stories. Tributes pour in for elder statesman and former head of the interim national government, Chief Ernest Shonekan, who passed on earlier today. Earlier in the news, the life and times of a boardroom strategist who rose to become chairman of the United African Company, UAC. And more aspirants throw in their hats for 2023 presidency. Governor David Mahi and Senator Orjius Okalu joined the race on the platform of the APC. And British Prime Minister Boris Johnson under fire for hosting garden party at official residence during 2020 COVID lockdown. And the number of those with eyes on securing the APC presidential ticket is indeed on the increase. And former governor of Abia State, Orjius Okalu, has joined the race. Speaking to journalists in Abuja, Senator Okalu says he's prepared to vie for the presidential ticket alongside APC chieftain Chief Bola Tinubu and other political bigwigs who will also throw their hats into the ring.
I do not see Tinubu's aspiration having any effect on the president of Nigeria coming from Igbo area. It has no effect because we are talking base of what Nigeria should be. We are talking base of what people should believe. Obasanjo has been president for 8 years. Osubanjo is doing 8 years as vice president. And no Igbo man since independence has been democratically elected president. So it's always good to think of what is reasonable and what will be more sellable. That thing is almost like dead on arrival because it's not going to work. I'm the most prepared presidential candidate in Nigeria, anywhere. I'm capable health-wise, I'm capable as a person, I'm capable in my pocket, I'm capable to face anybody. But the party is supreme. I only wait for APC as a party. It's not taking anybody. I'm used to rough fight. It's a fight which anybody can do. You see, for me, contesting for president is not the issue. The issue is who is going to lead the country into economic miracle. Who is going to lead the country into turning around. I'm not against Tinubu. If it's not his area and the party says he should go, well, the party is supreme. Because I'm only waiting for the party.
And while Senator Okalu has his eyes set on the presidency in 2023, the former governor had his day in the Federal High Court, Abuja, today. He filed an application before the court seeking an order to strike out his name and that of his company, Sloke Nigeria Limited, from the 7.1 billion naira charge leveled against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
The Senate Chief Whip, Senator Orjius Okalu, is back in court through his legal representatives. He's seeking to strike out his name and his company, Sloke Nigeria Limited, from the 7.1 billion naira charges leveled against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The former Abia State governor is taking this step after a Federal High Court judgment barred the federal government from retrying the former governor. However, the scheduled rearrangement of the former Commissioner of Finance in Abia State, Mr. Jones Udogu, whom the court had ordered his retrial, as well as a hearing of all pending applications, could not go on. SLOC's counsel, Mr. Chris Uche, and Kalu's lawyer, informs the court that the counsel to the EFCC, Mr. Rotimi Jacob, served his response to the application on Monday, January 10, 2022. They had served him the application since October 2021.
I don't understand what EFCC did. Like this morning, we were served with a motion on notice for the case to be transferred to Lagos as the court that has the proper jurisdiction to try this matter. And considering that the briefs and the brief has already been filed a long time ago, since October last year, it's strange that they are serving everything this morning. It means they just wanted to frustrate the application itself made by on behalf of Odjus Okalo and the one made by SLOC.
The prosecution appears not to be ready to proceed, but rather came with a motion which they filed and only served on the existing defendants' counsel here in court. So because of that late filing by the commission and late service this morning in court, there was no other option open to the court but to adjourn this case to March 10th to enable all the parties in the matter file their respective replies, and then that motion will be heard on that day.
The trial judge, Justice Inyangekwu, adjourned the matter to March 10th for a hearing of Kalu and SLOC's applications, as well as EFCC's motion on notice seeking transfer of the matter to Lagos.
And we're off to our Abuja studios for more stories. Here's Terry Kumi. Hi, Terry.
Hello, Millicent. Away from the courts to some other political matters, some stakeholders of the APC, including the Director General of the Progressives Governors Forum, Mr. Salihu Lukman, are asking leaders of the party to respect the decisions made by party members, especially as it concerns its forthcoming national convention. They were speaking at a one-day APC stakeholder summit in Abuja, where youths in the party say they are not being carried along despite making sacrifices for the party. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
Gathered in this hall are stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress, mostly youths. The convener of the summit, in an emotion-laden tone, raises concern over the non-inclusion of youths in the party affairs and also in governance under the current structure.
We are not going to be used and abandoned again. When we had nothing, they have abandoned us as if they have sworn to make slaves of every one of the APC member that has been faithful. Our loyalty, our dedication will not be taken for granted again.
The conversation here centers on rebuilding the party, and according to the Director General of the Progressive Governors Forum, Mr. Salihu Lukman, the process must begin with the leadership respecting the collective decisions of members, especially on the party's forthcoming national convention.
When decisions are taken that don't suit leaders, they try to manipulate and ensure that the decision is not implemented. And that is why we are where we are. A decision is clearly taken that February 5 will be the date of the convention. Somebody just sit down and is manipulating that it will not hold February 5, and we are all taking it.
The conversation then degenerates into a drama as a participant tries to make a point without the approval of the moderator.
Security, please, can you do the needful?
Order is restored, and the summit progresses to a panel session that focuses on how the APC has fared in the last 7 years.
It's a matter of urgency that the APC leaders or the aspiring leaders, with all due respect, should really work towards ensuring re-establishing that lost signal with the teaming youth.
Do we really have equal opportunity with this party? If you have equal opportunity, you are considered a true progressive.
Stakeholders here believe the success of the All Progressives Congress in the 2023 general elections will depend on how it is able to conduct its national convention and the party's primaries. Empress Simon, Channels Television News.
In other stories, the president has endorsed the establishment of the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Trust Fund, NDITF, a private sector investment window with Nigerians in the diaspora to support direct investments in the country. At the presentation of a compendium entitled Plus 600 Diaspora Icons at 60, published by Nigerians in Diaspora Commission at the State House, President Buhari said that the country is open to embracing the diaspora direct investment by compatriots abroad.
My diaspora agenda remains the same, that A, Nigerians in the diaspora are ambassadors at large by their character, comportment, and daily actions. B, they should be the best and excel in all in their endeavors. And C, they should give back by contributing to the development of Nigeria. Specifically, their foreign exchange remittances to family members have not only helped such families, but enhanced the developmental index of Nigeria. We will support NIDCOM to fulfill its mandate holistically through considerations for A, the establishment of the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Fund, and B, the Diaspora Intervention Fund to support the activities of NIDCOM's engagement with Nigerians in the diaspora.
Rescue operations continue at the site of the collapsed building in Okpanam, near Asaba, the Delta State capital. About 18 people are said to have been rescued from the rubble. 3 of them are in critical condition, while some others are believed to still be trapped in the collapsed structure, said to be a church building. Members of the Red Cross, fire service, security agencies, and state government officials are on ground as the rescue operations continue into the night.
We're here right on time. If you look behind me, you'll see that all the various agencies, the police are here, the Commissioner for Health is here, Energy is here, Housing is here, and we have all the complements of government that is here. Ministry of Works was able to move in with the payloaders and the excavator. And we thank God. So far, we don't have any dead casualty, but we have a lot of injured people. I can tell you that we have about 18 of them taken to Ash Hospital, and the doctors there were quite helpful, and about 3 of them are very critical.
Of course, as soon as we got this information about the tragedy, I quickly mobilized men here, not just mobilizing them here. I came by myself, and we are here. I can assure you at the end of it all, we're going to have some men that will keep watch from now till tomorrow.
In another disturbing incident, at least 1 person has been reportedly killed and 7 others kidnapped by suspected terrorists who attacked Gbagi Villa community in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. Although the police and state authorities are yet to comment on the incident, a community leader, Martin Sahuchogu, told Channels Television that the terrorists in their large numbers arrived at the community around 11 p.m. on Monday night and opened fire, shooting sporadically. Staying with security, but this time with some cheering news. 2 high-profile victims of kidnapping in Plateau State have been rescued, and that according to the State Police Command. A combined team of security personnel had launched a rescue mission for the wife of the Deputy Chief of Staff in the State Government House, Mrs. Dorcas Vem, and the Director in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Samuel Audu, in Barakinladi local government area. The Police Public Relations Officer, Gabriel Uba, who confirmed the report, says no ransom was paid and the victims have been reunited with their families. Well, that's from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Millicent, for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Terry. And the federal government is hoping to migrate to paperless governance by 2030. The Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Pantemi, made this known at the closing of the service-wide capacity building program on e-government at the Public Service Institute, Abuja. He adds that the federal government spent a total of 152 billion naira on digitization in 2021.
In 2021, the approval given by NIDA for institutions to implement the projects, the approval given so that the institutions will implement according to their budgets, including CBN, NNPC, NDIC, Nigeria Immigration, and many more. Within 2021, the amount is over 152 billion naira. If you compare this with 2019 it was only 9 billion naira, less than 10 billion in 2019. But in 2021, it's over 152 billion naira. This is to show to all of us that government has been spending a lot towards the digitalization of government services, the processes, and there are many more. If you sit down and take note of all the digitalization taking place in the country, you will discover that a lot has been achieved in our journey for the digital world, particularly in Nigeria. The target of the federal government of Nigeria is to make sure that by 2030, we achieve a paperless government where you could not need any physical paper. With blockchain technology, where there is data integrity and many more, this is very possible.
And to River State, where barely a few days after Governor Nyesom Wike declared some suspects wanted for their alleged involvement in illegal refinery operations, 5 members of the same family and 18 others have been arrested by police in River State. The family members were arrested in Emohua local government area for providing their land to persons for use in illegal crude refining, while other suspects were arrested for operating an artisanal refining site. None of those declared wanted has been arrested, but the Commissioner of Police, Eboka Friday, has warned residents against getting involved in such economic sabotage or risk arrest and prosecution. There is now an aggressive attempt by the state government and police to tackle the menace of illegal refining of crude oil, which has been identified as a major contributor to the emission of soot in the state. And while the clampdown of illegal operators is ongoing in River State, Governor Doye Diri has raised the alarm over their possible relocation to Bayelsa State. Governor Diri says his administration has got credible intelligence about the planned mass movement of these economic saboteurs. He was speaking when Governor Nyesom Wike led a delegation of elders on a visit to the state government house, Yanagwa, where both leaders agreed to forge a common front to entrench peace in their party, the PDP.
As we speak, we have intelligence that most of them want to move over to Bayelsa. And let me use the opportunity to warn that Bayelsa will not condone any of those oil bunkering. Those days are over. We have moved on, and anyone who is planning to leave River State to come and start that illicit, illegitimate, illegal business in Bayelsa, please have a change of mind and look elsewhere.
And to health, where the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Oloronimbe Mamora, is urging medical institutions that run medical laboratories to get accredited by the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria. Dr. Mamora stated this at the unveiling of Council's accreditation service as a member of the International Laboratory Accreditation Scheme and the presentation of the National ISO Accreditation Certificate in Abuja. According to the council, the realities of the COVID-19 pandemic has led to an increase in the number of molecular labs in Nigeria from 4 in 2019 to over 100 in 2021. Our correspondent Kayla Megwa reports.
Celebrations are in order for the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria. They've just unveiled the council's accreditation service as an associate member of the International Laboratory Accreditation Scheme and presented their national ISO 15189-2012 accreditation certification.
Congratulations once again.
An accomplishment the council's registrar says affords them several privileges.
I appeal to my Honorable Minister of State for Health to direct all federal tertiary health institutions to key into accreditation process. This will not only improve quality, but change the narrative of few labs of accredited laboratory facility in Nigeria.
The minister agrees that all medical labs must be accredited by the council. He congratulates the council for its latest membership status and its quality management system.
Across the world, accreditation appears to be a hallmark of quality service. It attests to the efforts of a facility to deliver accurate and reliable laboratory test results to meet the needs of the service users. So why should any facility shy away from accreditation? That's a good question to ask. You had situations when patients will come before you and tell you, "Doctor, I have typhoid malaria." And I will ask, typhoid malaria, is that any diagnosis like that? Because they have been made to believe certain things.
Tertiary healthcare institutions, and indeed all institutions that run laboratories, have been asked to embrace this accreditation service. It does cost some money, ranging from 750,000 to about 2 million naira. And of course, the minister here speaking up says this is a very small amount compared to the need to work as a team to ensure efficient patient healthcare in Nigeria. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
And staying with health, nursing activities have since resumed in Lagos State hospitals after the state chapter of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives suspended a 3-day warning strike when it had barely taken off. The strike was suspended after a meeting between the nurses and the governor of the state, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Our correspondent Mary Alale Yusuf visited some hospitals in Lagos and reports.
Work is in full swing at the Gbagada General Hospital in Lagos. At the outpatient section, a canopy outside is packed with patients, and there are more in the hospital corridors. Yet, nurses say it's a light load today, probably because people are not sure they are back in the saddle. Nurses had begun a 3-day warning strike, but cut it short after a meeting with the governor.
Thankfully, the government was able to engage us, and it was a profitable, dialogue. Some nurses have been stagnated on a certain level for some time, so it has been promised that that also will be taken into consideration and they will be regularized. As well, we demanded for, retention allowance as it was done for the doctors, and government have promised us that that also will be implemented. Because there has been, brain drain, we are overworked. A lot of us are having one medical issue or the other. You can imagine just one nurse attending to 20, 30 patients.
At the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Ikeja, nurses are hard at work in medical and surgical emergency ward. There have been engagements between Lagos State nurses and the government before, so one might wonder why the warning strike was suspended in such short order.
What was different was initially we wanted to meet with the governor. It took us over 14 months.
he was sending representatives and our agitations were not getting to him. But luckily, when he came on board, I think he was able to look into our agitations.
Now that the nurses have been heard by the highest authority in the state, they believe it would be fair to give him a chance to respond to their agitations. And they say they've been promised that changes will start to take effect immediately. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
And to other stories, residents of Kano State may be in for some discomfort following a strike action by tricycle riders. Channels Television gathered that their displeasure has to do with the payment of 8,000 naira as renewal of operating permits. Commuters and the State Road Traffic Agency are hopeful that the issues will soon be resolved.
It's an unusual sight in the early hours of the day in Kano, the commercial hub metropolis. Commuters, including men, women and children, walking long distances to their places of work, business and school. The tricycle, which is the major means of transportation in the area, is nowhere in sight as the Union of Tricycle Riders embark on an indefinite industrial action to protest the hike in their annual renewal permit.
Formerly, they requested that they want to increase the tax price that we are paying annually to about 100,000 or something close to that. But after discussions, we come to arrive at a certain amount of 8,000 instead of 100,000 because they come down to 20,000. Still, we are able to beat them down to 8,000. But you know, the problem is some of the tricycle riders, most of them are not even related to association. They are on their own.
Residents lament the hardship caused by the strike.
The place of work to my house is very far. In fact, I was stranded. I don't know what to do. I'll keep on trekking. Anybody has said to madam, you have to try because no other data.
The thing that I will try to tell the government will reduce the money or remove the money totally because look at the situation where we Nigerian people are crying.
The State Road Traffic Agency Director describes the action as baseless.
All this thing that you see that is happening in Kano, as the most peaceful state, we thank God for that. It is because of the prayers and the effort made by the governor and the security agencies in the state. And that entails spending a lot of money. How do you get that money to take care of all these things, all this logistics? It's from the revenue. And they don't want to pay the revenue. And the law says they should pay. Last time they went to court, and the court says they should go and respect the law and pay.
While residents are hopeful that the strike will be called off as soon as possible, the Kano State Road Traffic Agency says the state government is doing its best to provide alternative means of transportation for the people.
And the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority wants the oil sector to work with the federal government in the dredging of the Calabar Channel. Speaking in Calabar while inspecting some tank farms in Cross River State, the Executive Director, Distribution Systems, Storage, Retail and Infrastructure of the authority explains that the dredging would allow bigger vessels to berth with petroleum products. And now to business news. Here's Anne Waldo.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Millicent. Hello and welcome to Business News. We begin with the World Bank's expectation that Nigeria's economy will grow by 2.5% this year, which is a 0.1 percentage point higher than that of 2.4%, which was estimated in 2021. According to its latest Global Prospects report, the World Bank attributes the higher growth projection to higher oil prices and gradual easing of OPEC Plus production cuts, which of course is expected to benefit the country. Meanwhile, the World Bank says that it expects growth across the sub-Saharan Africa region to firm slightly to 3.6% this year and 3.8% in 2023, with elevated commodity prices expected to support near-term recovery for the region. Meanwhile, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, says that it expects Nigeria's economy to grow between 2.5% and 4% this year, despite concerns over the expected impact of fuel subsidy removal and supply chain disruptions. At a forum on the state of the economy, which was held in Lagos, the president of the LCCI, Dr. Michael Olawale Cole, asked the government to intensify efforts in tackling the challenges of insecurity in order to sustain the country's path to recovery. UK multinational banking and financial services company Standard Chartered said that it's closing about half of its Nigerian branches as part of its embrace to digital banking. A report by Bloomberg mentions that the local subsidiary of the London-listed bank has already shut down some of its offices in December and will eventually reduce its branches in the country from about 25 to 13. Standard Chartered, which has focused on corporate banking since establishing a presence in Nigeria back in 1999, also plans to start digital lending to process small loans quicker and increase its volume of retail credit customers. Let's check on the global oil market now. Brent crude futures rose to nearly $84 per barrel today, supported by tight supply and expectations that rising coronavirus cases and, of course, the spread of Omicron variant will not derail a global demand recovery. The oil price benchmark advanced 3.52% to settle at $83.72 a barrel, and that's its highest since early November last year. At the same time, its contemporary, the U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude, gained 3.82% at the end of the day at $81.22 a barrel, which is also its highest since mid-November. We head to the Nigerian stock market, where a slight pullback from the string of gains which it started with in the first week of this year. And Will Ibong will give us the details on today's activities.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. So this is how the market performed today. After 5 consecutive days of bullish sentiment, the local bourse records its first decline for 2022. And this is no thanks to the impact of profit taking by some investors. The 0.9% drop on the market's main index, which translates to about 20 billion naira loss in value, is largely attributed to sell pressure on blue chip stocks, particularly Dangote Cement, Lafarge, and Nigerian breweries. However, in sectoral performance, the consumer goods counter was most affected as it dipped by 4.76% on losses from Nestle and Unilever's share price. On the activity chart, it's not impressive performance there as well, as all 3 indicators ended negative in contrast to Monday's turnover. But the shares of Transco and Boa Foods still remain top on the investor stock picks. So far, the market has gained over 2% within the new year, and traders say they expect a quick rebound in the coming session, as negative close is just temporary. And that's the Stock Market Report. And Will Ibong is back to you.
Thanks a lot, Will. Meanwhile, let's find out how other global markets ended the close of business. And that's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Millicent.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Anne. An investigation led by British lawmaker Sue Gray is ongoing to uncover wrongdoing over a garden party that held at number 10 Downing Street, May 2020, while the country was under strict COVID lockdown. Minister Michael Ellis has called on MPs to await the report, but that the Prime Minister is not going anywhere, even if found he had broken the rules. The Prime Minister is expected to answer questions before Parliament on Wednesday regarding the matter. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Doctors of a US man with terminal heart disease who was implanted with a genetically modified pig's heart in a first-of-its-kind surgery say he is doing well. The surgery, performed by a team at the University of Maryland Medicine, is among the first to demonstrate the feasibility of a pig-to-human heart transplant, a field made possible by new gene editing tools. If proven successful, scientists hope pig organs could help alleviate shortages of donor organs.
We were quite pleased that as we separated from the heart-lung machine, the animal heart was functioning, by my eye at least, just about as normal as we could have expected.
Australian border officials are investigating whether Novak Djokovic's travel entry form included a false declaration. Djokovic's visa was revoked on arrival in Melbourne last week, and he was sent to an immigration detention hotel. But to celebrations outside from fans, his legal team won a court case that overturned the visa ban. The player, who is hoping to defend his Australian Open title next week, has since been pictured training, but there are now questions as to whether he had not travelled in the 14 days before his arrival, as was stated in his travel entry form.
Good luck in Australia.
Thank you very much. You're very kind. Social media posts appear to show him in both Serbia and Spain during that fortnight. The suspect in a fire that gutted parts of South Africa's 138-year-old Parliament building this month has been charged with terrorism. Zandile Mafe had already been charged with arson in connection with the fire, but the additional charge of terrorism was added because he had also been caught with an explosive device. Officials have described it as an attack on the country's democracy. The blaze caused the roof of the newer part of the building to collapse and also damaged the old wing dating back to 1884. US President Joe Biden and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed have held a candid telephone call days after an airstrike reportedly killed 56 people at a camp for displaced people in Tigray. Joe Biden has expressed concern over airstrikes in Ethiopia's north and over human rights issues, the White House said. That call came just 2 days after aid workers said an airstrike had killed 56 people at a camp for displaced people in the Tigray region. Footage from Tigray TV showed bodies being sprinkled with water while mourners watched, as well as damaged buildings and tents in what was purportedly the camp. Thousands have died and millions been forced from their homes since war broke out in November 2020. North Korea has fired a suspected ballistic missile less than a week after it launched what it claimed was a hypersonic missile. South Korea said it detected the launch at 7:27 local time on Tuesday. Japan's Coast Guard also reported the launch, saying North Korea had fired a ballistic missile-like object. It comes shortly after 6 countries issued a statement urging the North to cease its destabilizing actions. The European Parliament President, David Sassoli, has died at the age of 65.
145 voti.
The Italian former journalist and centre-left politician had been seriously ill for more than 2 weeks and cancelled all official activities. He was admitted to hospital in Italy last month due to a serious complication with his immune system.
David Sassoli.
Paying tribute, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called him a passionate European and a good man. He died in the early hours of Tuesday in a hospital in Aviano. Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega has been sworn into office for his 4th consecutive term, hours after the United States and the European Union imposed sanctions on several figures of his government. Ortega won the November the 7th poll after most of his political foes were jailed, prompting widespread condemnation. US President Joe Biden called the election a pantomime, accusing the former Marxist guerrilla and Cold War adversary of the United States of growing authoritarianism. And finally, China is gearing up for the Winter Olympics, with Harbin, known as Ice City, shown off for the cameras for the very first time. The capital of northeast China's Heilongjiang province includes Olympic-themed light shows, installation arts, as well as a range of ice and snow sculptures located in the Harbin Ice Snow World. One of the main attractions took more than 50 artists 8 days to construct. It measures 100 metres long and 30 metres high. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Welcome to Sports News. A first-half strike from Kelechi Iheanacho secured an important 1-0 victory for the Super Eagles of Nigeria in their Crunch African Nations Cup Group D opening clash with Egypt in Garoua earlier today. Now, the clash of the two group favourites had a one-sided feel to it as Nigeria controlled long periods of the game whilst Egypt struggled to impose themselves. Nigeria broke the deadlock in superb fashion through Leicester City striker Kelechi Iheanacho, who found the top corner from his strike from the edge of the area. Our reigning champions Algeria began their defence of the African Nations Cup title with an underwhelming 0-0 draw against Sierra Leone in Douala as Riyad Mahrez's side struggled to break down one of the tournament's ranked outsiders. Qatar-based winger Yassin Brahimi missed the holder's best chance early in the second half when he found himself with just the goalkeeper to beat, only for Mohamed Kamara to hold his shot at the second attempt. Meanwhile, the second match in Group D between Sudan and Guinea-Bissau ended goalless in Garoua. Chelsea FC manager Thomas Tuchel has called on the English Premier League to be more transparent in decisions over games being postponed due to COVID-19 after Leicester City's Premier League match at Everton, scheduled for today, was called off on Sunday. Leicester had a depleted squad due to COVID-19 cases, injuries and players on international duty at the African Nations Cup. The uncertain status of top-ranked Novak Djokovic didn't stop Australian Open organisers from listing him as the top seed for the Grand Slam tournament beginning Monday next week at Melbourne Park. As expected, homegrown talent and top-ranked Ash Barty was given the #1 seeding in the women's singles draw when the list was released earlier today. Defending champion Naomi Osaka is seeded 13th. And that's a wrap in sports news. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. It's back to you, Millicent.
Thank you, Aya. And the main news again. Tributes poured in today for elder statesman and former head of the interim national government, Chief Ernest Shonekan, who passed on in the early hours of Tuesday. Federal government ordered national flag to fly at half-mast. That's news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night and stay safe.